He yelled, "I don't need your permission for anything." When I asked him not to go on a trip with his ex, I said, "Good, because you don't have it anymore," and moved out his stuff while he was gone. He came home to empty closets and a note. I, 35, female, was loading the dishwasher when my fiancé, Brett, 36, dropped the bomb on me. We'd been together 3 years, engaged for 8 months, wedding planned for next spring. "So I'm going to Cabo next weekend," he announced, scrolling through his phone like he was discussing the weather. "Oh, nice. With who?" I asked, not looking up from rinsing plates. "Just a small group. Wesley, his girlfriend, Amy Rodriguez, and Jade." I stopped mid-rinse. "Jade? Your ex? Jade?" "Yeah." He didn't even look up from his screen. "So you're going on a vacation with your ex-girlfriend?" My voice was carefully controlled. 5 years of corporate management teaches you how to keep your tone level when you want to scream. He looked up from his phone, annoyed. "It's a group trip, Diana. Don't be weird about it." "I'm not being weird. I'm uncomfortable with my fiancé going on a beach vacation with his ex-girlfriend of 5 years. God, you're so controlling. Jade and I are just friends now." Then why wasn't I invited? The question hung in the air between us. He rolled his eyes. "Because you hate beach trips. You literally spent the entire Miami vacation under an umbrella complaining about sand." That was true. I burn easily and prefer mountains to beaches, but still. "Brett, I really don't think this is appropriate. Can you please not go?" That's when he exploded. Threw his phone down, stood up, hands on hips, full drama mode. "I don't need your permission for anything. I'm a grown man. If I want to go on a trip with friends, I'll go." The words hung in the air. Permission, like I was trying to be his mother instead of expressing a reasonable boundary as his soon-to-be wife. "You're right," I said quietly, my corporate training kicking in. Stay calm, document everything. "Exactly. Thank you for finally—" "Good," I continued, "because you don't have it anymore." His face shifted from triumphant to confused. "What?" "You heard me. You want to act single? Be single. Go on your trip." "Diana, don't be dramatic. It's just a vacation. With your ex-girlfriend, who you dated for 5 years, who you only broke up with because she moved to Seattle for grad school. That was years ago. She moved back 8 months ago, right around when we got engaged. You've been texting ever since." Guilty silence. I'd seen the notifications. Late night, "how are you" messages. Likes on every Instagram post. "I'm done, Brett. Go to Cabo. Have fun." He actually laughed. "You're going to break up with me over a trip? Seriously?" "No. I'm breaking up with you because you think my boundaries are optional and you'd rather yell about permissions than have an adult conversation about respect." "You're bluffing. You always cave." That stung because it was partially true. I'd compromised on so many things during our relationship. Where we lived, how we spent holidays, even the wedding venue. "Watch me not," I said, walking to our bedroom. Well, my bedroom. The apartment lease was in my name only. I started pulling his clothes out of our shared dresser. "What are you doing?" He followed me, voice rising. "Helping you pack. Not for Cabo. For moving out." "You can't kick me out. I live here." "You stay here. Your name's not on the lease." I kept folding his shirts methodically. "You have 30 days legal notice. But since you'll be in Cabo this weekend, might as well start early." He switched tactics, went from angry to manipulative, touched my arm. "Baby, come on. Let's talk about this. Maybe you could come to Cabo too." "Now I'm invited? How convenient." "I'll tell Jade you're coming. She'll understand." "No thanks. I don't want to crash your reunion tour." "It's not like that." "Then what's it like, Brett? Explain to me why you have to go on this trip with your ex." He pulled his hand back. "I don't have to explain anything to you. You're not my keeper." "You're right. I'm not. Not anymore." The next few hours were a masterclass in manipulation tactics. He cycled through every strategy in the book. "You're overreacting. This is emotional abuse." "Fine, I won't go. Are you happy?" "You're so controlling. I chose you. Doesn't that matter?" "Jade means nothing to me." That last one made me laugh. If she means nothing, why is this trip worth our relationship? No good answer for that one. He finally gave up around midnight, grabbed an overnight bag. I'm going to Wesley's. When you come to your senses, call me. Don't hold your breath. You'll regret this, Diana. No one else will put up with your trust issues. My trust issues? You're literally choosing a vacation with your ex over our relationship. He slammed the door. I sat on the couch, processing 3 years down the drain because he couldn't understand basic respect in a committed relationship. My phone buzzed. Him. I hope you're happy. You just threw away the best thing in your life. I didn't respond. Instead, I started planning. His flight left Thursday. That gave me 5 days to handle business. Time to make some calls. The apartment felt different already, quieter, peaceful. I walked through each room, noting what was his, what was mine, what we'd bought together. The mental inventory was surprisingly short on his side. Mostly clothes, some electronics, a few books. I made a list, called my sister Melissa. It's happening, I said when she answered. Finally. I never liked him anyway, but I didn't want to interfere. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have listened 6 months ago? Fair point. 6 months ago, I was deep in wedding planning mode, convincing myself that love meant compromise. Now I realized I'd been doing all the compromising. Can you help Thursday? Already cleared my schedule. Coffee and muscle coming right up. I spent Tuesday calling wedding vendors, Wednesday researching storage facilities and tenant rights. By Wednesday night, I had a plan. Brett called twice. I didn't answer. He was probably at Wesley's complaining about his controlling fiancé. Let him. By Sunday, it wouldn't matter what story he told. Thursday morning, his Uber arrived at 5 a.m. for his early flight. I watched from the window as he loaded his suitcase, checking his phone one last time before getting in. I gave it 30 minutes, then called Melissa. It's go time. She arrived with coffee and her SUV. I never liked him anyway, but I didn't want to interfere. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have listened 6 months ago? Fair point. We hired movers from TaskRabbit. Professional crew, 3 guys who'd seen this scenario before. Standard breakup move? One asked. Engagement breakup, I corrected. Ouch, those are the worst. I gave them clear instructions. Everything that wasn't mine goes into labeled boxes. I took photos of each room before and after. Documentation is everything. Melissa handled the delicate items, his grandmother's china, his college awards. We're not monsters, she said, wrapping each piece carefully. The movers were efficient and respectful, no judgment, just professional service. They'd clearly done this before. You want us to take everything to storage? The lead guy asked. Unit 247 at Secure Space on 5th Street. I already have the access code. By Thursday evening, the apartment looked completely different. Spacious, peaceful, mine. The furniture arrangement felt more open. I'd never realized how much of our decorating was actually his preferences imposed on my space. The massive leather recliner that dominated the living room, gone. The sports memorabilia covering every wall, packed away. The apartment felt like it could breathe again. I deep cleaned everything. Professional level clean. Changed the sheets, reorganized my closet to fill the empty space, even rearranged furniture. By Thursday night, it looked like a different place. My place. Friday, Brett started posting Cabo pictures, group shots at the resort, pool pics, dinner photos where he's sitting suspiciously close to Jade. My friend Amy from work texted, "Girl, have you seen these posts? Where are you?" "Taking care of business," I replied. Saturday morning, I called the wedding vendors. "Diana, how are the final preparations going?" asked our wedding planner, Jennifer. "Actually, I need to cancel everything." Silence. Then, "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. What happened?" I gave her the short version. She was incredibly understanding. "You know what? You're handling this with remarkable strength. I've seen brides stay with men who showed red flags right before weddings. You're protecting yourself." The cancellation process was surprisingly smooth. Venue, full deposit refund since we were 8+ months out. They even waived the administrative fee. Caterer, lost the $500 tasting fee, but everything else refundable. The owner said, Better to lose 500 than 50,000 on the wrong marriage. Florist. Complete refund. She even offered to send me a small bouquet for courage. Photographer. Kept the engagement session fee but released us from the contract without penalty. Band. 2-week cancellation policy, but they made an exception. Happens more than you'd think, the manager said. Total recovered. $12,200 out of $13,700. Not bad for a day's work. Saturday afternoon, I went ring shopping, not for myself, to get my engagement ring appraised. Beautiful ring, the jeweler said, examining the 2-carat solitaire. Excellent condition. Are you looking to upgrade? Selling, actually. He nodded knowingly. I can offer you $3,800 cash, $4,200 store credit. Cash. The transaction took 20 minutes. I walked out with nearly $4,000 and zero regrets. Saturday evening, Brett's Cabo posts got interesting. Jade sitting on his lap at some beach bar. A group dinner where somehow only Brett and Jade were in frame. Late-night hot tub shots that looked distinctly intimate. Amy Rodriguez called me from Cabo. Diana, I'm so sorry. I had no idea it would be like this. She told Wesley you were cool with the trip. She told him wrong. They're sharing a room now. I'm sleeping on the couch in Wesley's room because I can't watch this anymore. Not your fault, Amy. Thanks for telling me, though. So much for just friends. Sunday, I prepared for his return, changed all the locks, updated the security system, prepared the documentation packet. I left an envelope by the door containing storage unit key and information, his official 30-day notice to vacate, and a simple note. You don't need my permission for anything. That includes living here. Your belongings are in storage unit 247. You have 30 days to make arrangements. Diana. His flight landed Sunday at 6 p.m. I wasn't there, obviously. I was at Melissa's, watching my apartment security camera feed on my phone. 7:15 p.m. Brett arrives, tries his key. Confusion, tries again. Checks the door number like maybe he's at the wrong apartment. He calls me. I don't answer. Text. Diana, my key isn't working. Me. That's not your key anymore. Him. What? Me. Check the planter by the door. The security camera caught his face perfectly. Shock, rage, disbelief. Then the slow realization that I'd actually followed through. He called 23 times in the next hour. I answered none. The voicemail highlights, "This isn't funny. Let me in. Diana, I'm serious. Open the door. You can't just lock me out. This is illegal. I'm calling the police. Please, it's not what you think. Jade means nothing. You're my fiancé. I'm going to take you to court. Where are my things? The storage unit is locked. What's the code? I have nowhere to go. You're insane. Baby, please, let's talk. I made a mistake, okay? Answer your phone. You'll regret this." He actually called the cops. They showed up around 9 p.m. I'd expected this, so I was back at the apartment with my documentation ready. "Ma'am, we have a report of an illegal eviction," the officer said. "Here's the lease with only my name." I handed him the paperwork. "Here's the written 30-day notice I provided. Here's proof his belongings are safely stored. He left for vacation after I asked him to move out." The officer looked at Brett. "Sir, are you on the lease?" "No, but how long were you away?" "Just a weekend trip." The officer looked back at me. "Where are his belongings?" "Storage unit 247. He has the key and information." "Ma'am," the officer said to me, "this appears to be proper notice. This is a civil matter now." The look of betrayal on Brett's face when the cops sided with me was priceless. After the police left, Jade showed up. Yes, his ex-girlfriend drove him home from Cabo and was now trying to help him get back into my apartment. "Diana, this is really harsh," she said through the intercom. "Just let him get his things. His things are in storage. He has the key. Come on, don't be like this." "Like what? Single?" That's what he wanted. Brett got on the intercom. "Diana, please. Nothing happened in Cabo." I held up my phone, showed the security camera his own Instagram posts. That shut him up. They eventually left, Brett crying in Jade's car. The same man who yelled about not needing permission was sobbing in his ex-girlfriend's Honda. 2 weeks later, the entitlement reached astronomical levels. When the shock wore off, Brett went full warfare mode. First, he tried to control the narrative, posted a long Facebook essay about toxic relationships and women who can't handle strong men, painted me as controlling and unstable. Problem? Our mutual friends saw his Cabo posts. Comments started rolling in. Didn't you just post pics with your ex in Cabo? Strong men don't cheat on their fiancés. Diana paid for your coding boot camp last year. Real toxic. He deleted the post within hours. Monday morning, I went outside and my car was gone. Panic for about 30 seconds before I remembered he had a spare key. Checked my tracking app. Yep, my car was at Jade's apartment complex. Called the police, reported it stolen. Gave them his information. They retrieved it within 2 hours. He told them he was just borrowing it, and I was being petty. The officer told me later, he actually said, "It's basically my car, too. I drove it all the time." That's not how ownership works, Brett. Tuesday, I noticed weird activity on Netflix, Spotify, Hulu. He was still using my accounts, changed all passwords immediately. 20 minutes later, text from his mother. "Diana, sweetie, Brett can't access the streaming services. Can you please fix that?" A grown man sent his mother to ask about Netflix passwords. Me. "Hi, Mrs. Calloway. Brett and I are no longer together. He'll need his own accounts now, but he's going through such a hard time. The hard time he created by choosing Cabo with his ex over our relationship." Radio silence after that. By day 10, he still hadn't gotten his stuff from storage. Why? Too expensive to hire movers? He wanted me to pay for professional movers. Let him back into the apartment to sort through things. Store everything indefinitely for free. His lawyer, yes, he got one, sent a letter demanding I return his property to the shared residence. My lawyer's response was beautiful. Property has been safely preserved and made available. Client has key and access, no further accommodation required. Here's where he really crossed the line. He called my workplace, told reception he was my fiancé, and there was a family emergency. I got pulled out of a client presentation, called him back from a conference room with HR present. Smart move on their part. "What's the emergency?" I asked. "I need to talk to you and you won't answer my calls." "That's not an emergency. That's harassment." "I'm going to be homeless." "You've had 2 weeks to find a place." "Jade and I broke up." Plot twist. I didn't see coming. Apparently, once he didn't have my apartment to fall back on, Jade remembered why they broke up the first time. Something about him being financially unstable and emotionally immature. HR documented everything, told me to let them know if he contacted work again. He went through our entire friend group, trying to find somewhere to stay, telling different stories to everyone. To Ashley, I was controlling and financially abusive. To Wesley, I kicked him out with no warning. To my coworker Janet, I was having a mental breakdown. To his college friend, I stole his inheritance. What inheritance? His parents are still alive and working middle-class jobs. Problem was, he told different versions to everyone. They compared notes. Group chat was lit. Ashley. Wait, he told me she was controlling. She told me she went to Cabo with her ex. Janet. Financial abuse? Didn't she pay his student loans off last year? Wesley. No warning? He literally posted about going on the trip after they fought. As of today, he's couch surfing between acquaintances. Posted a GoFundMe for escaping a toxic living situation. Raised $67. Still hasn't gotten his stuff from storage. Jade is telling everyone he's unstable and not ready for commitment. His mother called me again asking if I'd reconsider. Mrs. Calloway, your son chose a vacation with his ex-girlfriend over our engagement. What exactly should I reconsider? Boys will be boys. I'm 35 years old. I don't date boys. Meanwhile, I was thriving. Remember how this started with him getting a new job after 4 months of unemployment? Well, turns out calling out sick for a week to handle personal business in your first 90 days isn't career smart. They let him go. I got promoted to regional director. Turns out being drama-free improves work performance significantly. Who knew? My supervisor pulled me aside after the promotion announcement. Diana, I don't know what you changed in your personal life, but your focus and leadership have been exceptional these past few months. Thank you. I removed some distractions. Whatever you did, keep doing it. The storage facility called last week. His unit payment was overdue. Did I want to extend it? Nope. Follow your abandonment procedures. Which means, if he doesn't pay within 10 days, they auction everything. He has 1 week left on the original 30-day notice. After that, showing up at my building becomes trespassing. I already gave security his photo. My sister was right. I never realized how much I was compromising my own happiness to manage his moods and ego. The apartment feels peaceful. My bank account is healthier without supporting another adult. My stress levels are non-existent. I started seeing a colleague from the regional office, Nicholas from corporate strategy. Nothing serious yet, but it's refreshing to be with someone who communicates like an adult and doesn't need permission to respect boundaries. We met at a company conference 3 months ago, but I was engaged then. He reached out after my promotion, congratulated me professionally. Coffee turned into dinner, dinner into weekend plans. He's stable, successful, and treats me like an equal partner in decision-making. Brett? Last I heard through Wesley, he moved back in with his parents and is telling everyone the breakup was mutual. He's also apparently back on dating apps, describing himself as recently single after a long-term relationship, with no mention of the engagement. The woman who couldn't handle strong men is thriving professionally and personally. The strong man is unemployed and living with his parents at 36. Wesley and Amy are planning their own engagement. Amy told me privately, watching you handle that situation with such grace gave me courage to demand better in my own relationship. Wesley stepped up because he saw what happens when men don't. Sometimes the best teaching moments happen when you're not trying to teach anyone. You just live your values consistently, and people notice. The apartment is officially mine now. Brett's 30 days are up tomorrow. I celebrated by buying new artwork for the living room walls, pieces I actually chose, not compromises to accommodate someone else's taste. Tomorrow marks exactly 2 months since Cabo. 2 months since I stopped accepting permission as a dirty word and started treating it as basic respect. 2 months since I learned that sometimes the best response to, "I don't need your permission," is simply, "You're absolutely right." 6 months later, and this story has the most predictable ending imaginable. Brett never got his stuff from storage. 30 days came and went, then another 30 with late fees. Finally, they auctioned everything off last month. Guess how I found out? He tried to blame me on social media again. My toxic ex let them sell all my belongings. Everything my grandmother gave me. She's pure evil. The comments were brutal. Bro, you had 60 days. Didn't you choose Cabo over her? This is what happens when you play stupid games. Your ex? Didn't you cheat with your ex? His own college buddy Wesley commented, "Dude, she gave you multiple chances to get your stuff. Take some responsibility." Remember Jade? His Cabo companion? Well, she's engaged now. To Wesley, actually. Amy Rodriguez's boyfriend from the trip. Turns out, while Brett was busy trying to win back his ex-fiancé, Wesley was realizing what kind of woman actually deserves commitment. Brett found out when they posted engagement photos at the same Cabo resort. Wesley's caption, "Sometimes the best things come from unexpected places. Thanks for an unforgettable trip, babe." The meltdown was spectacular. Brett went on a comment rampage calling Wesley every name in the book. Wesley's response? He shared screenshots of texts from 6 months ago where Brett was asking Wesley to cover for him if I called asking about the trip. Even better? Jade shared her own screenshots showing Brett had been contacting her for months while we were engaged, asking if she ever thought about getting back together. 2 weeks ago, Mrs. Calloway showed up at my office building. Reception called me. "Diana, there's a woman here claiming to be your ex-mother-in-law." I met her in the lobby. Professional setting for professional boundaries. "Diana, we need to talk." "Okay." "I owe you an apology. When Brett moved home, I believed his version of events. But living with him again. She paused, looked exhausted. He's 36 years old, acting like a teenager. Won't help with bills, won't clean up after himself, spends all day on dating apps complaining about women. I'm sorry you're dealing with that. I found his laptop open last week. Email drafts trying to get back in touch with you, claiming he has important news to share. We're kicking him out next month. I wanted to warn you in case he tries to contact you. I appreciate that, Mrs. Calloway. She handed me an envelope. His father and I saved this for your wedding. We'd like you to have it anyway. You handled everything with more class than our son deserved. Inside was a $2,000 check with a note. For your future happiness. You deserve better. Last week, unknown number called me. I usually don't answer, but something told me to pick up. Diana? Crying, dramatic sobbing. Please don't hang up. What do you want, Brett? I'm sorry. I made the biggest mistake of my life. Can we talk? I almost hung up. Then curiosity got the better of me. About what? I've been in therapy. I realize now how controlling and manipulative I was. You were right about everything. I want to make it up to you. That's great, Brett. Therapy is healthy. I miss you so much. I miss us. Can we try again? I'll do anything. I'm sure you would, but I'm engaged now. Silence. Then, engaged? To who? Someone who doesn't need permission to respect me. Diana, please, click. I hung up. Where everyone is now, Brett, living in a studio apartment his parents co-signed for, working part-time at Best Buy, still posting about crazy exes, and women who can't handle real men. Blocked by most of our mutual friend group. Jade, happily engaged to Wesley, just got promoted to senior analyst. They're planning a destination wedding in Italy. She sent me a LinkedIn connection request with a note. Thank you for dodging that bullet. He did the same thing to me 3 years ago. Me, regional director for the Southwest Division, engaged to Nicholas from corporate strategy. We're buying a house next month. Both names on the deed. Planning a small wedding next spring. Nothing fancy. Just people who actually support healthy relationships. Nicholas proposed last month during a weekend trip to Napa Valley. Not because I pressured him, not because we'd been together for years, because he wanted to build a life with someone who values mutual respect and communication. The proposal was perfect. Private dinner at a vineyard, honest conversation about our future goals, ring chosen together because he wanted something I'd actually love wearing. No social media announcements until we'd told our families first. Adult decisions made by adults. The lessons. Looking back, the red flags were everywhere. He never wanted to discuss boundaries, just demanded I trust him. He always played victim when called out on anything. He thought consequences were for other people. He genuinely believed he could act single while keeping the benefits of a committed relationship. The funniest part? He created every consequence himself. I didn't make him go to Cabo. I didn't make him post intimate pictures with his ex. I didn't make him ignore his belongings for 60 days. I didn't make him lie to everyone about what happened. All I did was stop enabling his choices and protecting him from natural consequences. Yesterday, one final contact attempt. Different number, but I recognized the typing style. I know you hate me, but I wanted you to know I'm seeing someone new. Someone who actually trusts me and doesn't try to control me. We're moving in together next month. Have fun being alone and bitter while I'm living my best life. You had your chance. I didn't respond, but I did laugh. Moving in with someone he's known for what? A month? Not learning anything from patterns. Hope she asks better questions about his relationship history than I did. As for me, I'm sitting in my home office, about to video call with my marketing team about our Q4 strategy. Tonight, Nicholas and I are looking at paint samples for the guest bedroom. Tomorrow, we're having dinner with Melissa and her family. Life is good when you surround yourself with people who understand that trust is earned through actions, not demanded through manipulation. To everyone who said I was too harsh, where would I be if I'd caved? Probably planning another wedding with someone who thinks my boundaries are suggestions. Sometimes the best revenge isn't elaborate schemes. Sometimes it's just letting someone experience the natural consequences of their choices while you build a better life. Thanks for following this journey, Reddit. Remember, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And when they yell about not needing your permission, take them at their word. Peace out.